All right, so hopefully this records and we should be on. So, hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in to this blab that we're going to do tonight. This is the first of 4 blabs over the next week that we're just going to talk about the sales process and how contractors can benefit from having a strong sales process and all that good stuff. And I want to welcome my good buddy Ralph Bezad from Arizona. He's from Pondscapes of Arizona. How you doing, Ralph?
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
So, yeah, I'm glad to have you, man. What have we known each other, like 4 years?
Yeah, about that.
Like 4 years that we met at an industry event. Say that again. You're breaking up.
I think we met at Chicago Monium, maybe before.
That's right. Something like that. Try to scoot a little closer if you could.
Okay.
All right. Because it was hard to hear you there for a minute. So, what I wanted to do is, for those contractors that are tuning in, is just Ralph and I have a short conversation about how a contractor can really instantly improve his or her sales, in their business. It's the number one thing that we need in a business. It's kind of like oxygen to the body. If you don't have money coming in through profitable sales, then you're going to end up, dying eventually. And so before we get rolling into this, Ralph, I'd love if you could just share a little bit about your business, what you do, who you are, and then we'll kind of dig in.
Okay. So we're based out of Southeast Phoenix, Arizona, and basically we're a pond and landscape company, primarily servicing and building ponds and waterfalls. So we got started about 8 years ago, and we really hit. I worked for another contractor for a long time and did my work after hours and on the weekends. I'd come home, change clothes, load up my truck, and hit the road and work till I couldn't see anymore. And just worked 7 days a week for a couple of years. And so about 6 years ago is when we actually started. And so I know the fly by the seat of your pants mentality.
Yeah.
I worked for a general contractor as a landscape superintendent for those guys, and we had a pretty organized system. But for my own thing, it was just, getting referrals and knocking on doors, going and talking to people. And I really never implemented a system that I was already following. So anyways, fast forward, we're do very little landscape installations now. And I'd say I've only done 3 in the last 3 years. And we've been primarily concentrating on water features.
Yeah, and you've done some pretty amazing stuff. Share what your website is so people can go see that. And is that project at Sunny? What was it called? That place on there?
Yeah, Sunshine Acres. Yes.
Sunshine Acres. Tell us about that. That was sweet.
Thank you. Yeah. And thanks to you and Dakota, it turned out that much better.
Yeah, we went out to help you build that thing and had some fun. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, our website is pondscapesaz, as in Arizona.com.
Okay.
And so we've got a video of that project on there, and we've done some cool things. But I'm trying to kind of backpedal a little bit and get back to basics. I'm trying to organize myself and Allison. We're trying to reorganize our company to actually have some organization within it.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done some really cool things, have made some big impact and had some wow statements, but for a long time we were just kind of like throwing crap against the wall, and whatever sticks, that's that's how we got by. And as cool of stuff we were doing, it was sucking the will to live right out of me.
Yeah. So let me for those of you watching live and those who are watching the recording later on, first of all, before I forget, so Mike Hines Painting, I just want to tell you real quick because I don't see that you're on here. Dude, I ended up on your about page and your website and I loved it. I love how you just differentiate yourself. So that's all I wanted to tell you, man. So great job. So there, now it's off of my head. I can move on. So if you're watching this live or otherwise and you're a contractor, let me first throw this out here. We would 100% love for you to check out the Contractor Sales Academy. All right. Ralph's a member of the Contractor Sales Academy for the last year or so. We're going to talk about that, but this is not a commercial for the Contractor Sales Academy. My hope for you today as a contractor, I've been a painting contractor for years. Ralph, you've been in your industry for years. This is the time of year in a lot of industries where, winter is here and then pretty soon the seasons turn, the weather gets nice, the sun shines, your phone starts ringing, and you can't wait to run out and do some sort of a bid, because it's like, oh, great, I got stuff to go bid. And we've all been there. The purpose of these 4 blabs that we're going to do is, number one, is to help you, whether it's our program or a different program, it's to help you be truly committed to having a sales process that's going to do good things for you in your life and your business. All right. So the things that, Ralph and I are going to talk about tonight are some things that we teach in our program, but by all means, I know it's not for everybody, and that's cool. You're totally welcome here. Just find your own process, protect your time, and make more money. That's what this is about. And so that's what we want to help you do. So hopefully I just get that out of the way. So Ralph, before you had a process for your sales, describe what your average week was like. What was the right, and I'm talking after you went off on your own, not when you were working for somebody. What did life look like when you did not have a sales process?
Oh, it was pretty chaotic. I can recall more times than I care to getting a phone call, either directly to my cell phone or Allison calling me, say, hey, this person just called the office. You're near where they're calling from. Mm-hmm. And if I was working with a couple of guys, I would say, okay, hey, I'll be right back. Kind of knock the dust off and, hey, do this, and this, and, I'll go check out what this is. And I would drive 20 minutes, maybe an hour, and meet with somebody to look at their pump and tell them, hey, it's going to be $600 or whatever. Oh, well, let me get back to you. And drive back across town and get back to work. So losing out on work. So, literally that's what would happen several times a week. So my efficiency is way out the window. And I was just, constantly behind the windshield, scatterbrained, just, throwing stuff against the wall, and whatever stuck, that's what we kept.
Yeah, I remember years ago, my mentality was, it's a numbers game. If I just run out and throw out enough estimates, I'll land enough work.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case, because you don't have a life. You get on the hamster wheel and all you're doing is running around crazy and stuff like that. So
part of my mentality with that numbers game was, if I get enough of them, my price will be so competitive that it doesn't matter if I'm the lowest price. I'm doing so many of these little repairs or little installs or something like that. So I'll make it up on the back end with all these numbers. And I just didn't have enough foresight to look and see how much I'm just spinning out of control. Because at the end of the week, I'd come home with, $500 in my pocket and not thinking about all the bills on the other side that need to be paid.
Yeah. So when you, what did that do for home life? I know you're married, you got little kids. What was that like?
Yeah. It was stressful. My wife, she wasn't too thrilled when I got home, and all I want to do is take a shower and go to bed, or they're already in bed. Majority of the time, my boys were asleep. In the beginning, I really never saw my oldest in the evening.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sucked.
Well, I can totally relate to that. Just numerous times through the years where my mind was always, I got to follow up with this proposal. I got to answer this text. I have to, always be on and be, my mentality in the sales process was, I mean, you and I were in the Marines, right? So we have that mentality of just attack and take the hill and things like that. And what a sales process I really think has done for me and guys like you and things like that is the most important thing I think is it helps us to truly take control of the sales process because, let's say you get 200 leads that come in a year, or 300 leads or whatever the heck it is. If we don't take control of that process, then that's how many other processes or systems we're on. We're on every different customer system. I don't know if you ever did this. Did you ever get a call and they go, yeah, we want to bid. We're not going to be home. Just leave it in the mailbox. Walk around the yard or the home and tell us what it's going to be, and we'll get back to you.
Yep.
So, and that was that customer system. And another customer might be, yeah, we go out, we tap dance, we tell them how great we are. We do this, we do the proposal, and then they tell us they want to think about it. And then we end up chasing them for 2 days, 3 days, 6 months, whatever it is until they finally drop off. And, in my old life, the most important, what I was coached in the beginning, the most important part of the sales process was the follow-up. And there's all this data that, people don't buy until the 7th or 8th time that you follow up and all this other crap. And that may be true in other industries, but I think in the home improvement industry that we work in, that's bull. I think there's a process that we can follow and take control at the beginning through some good pre-qualification that will enable us to not run around in the hamster wheel. Tell us about that pre-qual process that you're following.
Pre-qual, today I have 2 textbook of ways to do it and ways not to do it.
Oh, all in the same day, huh?
Both of them happen today. So today, actually, I've got my tracker right here because I don't know, I'm not too savvy on the computer. So Allison prints off my tracker and I fill it in. So today was I filled in. I have a lead and that was a win. The guy's going to call me back. We're going to set something up. He's going to talk things over with his wife. So we're working the system. I'm working my 5 steps.
There you go. So tell us about that. So what do you mean the guy's going to talk to his wife? What's that all about?
Well, I told him that, how does your wife feel about the idea of your this water feature you want to do? And he said, well, we're pretty much on the same page, but I didn't understand this pondless concept. It wasn't exactly what he was calling about. And so we talked back and forth and had an honest conversation and about pricing. And got down to it. He liked what I had to say, which was not as much as I used to say. And gave him a window of pricing, and he said, "This sounds amazing. I'm excited." Emailed him some pictures and information, and he said, "I'll be in touch with you so I can talk with my wife, find out when we can both be here." I said, "Great. That's what I'm looking forward to. Meeting you both." And just so you know, my intentions when I do come out and meet with you are to go a little bit further into detail of what you want to do in your yard. But I'd like to get you on the schedule and get a contract written up. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I'm hoping to do." And I said, "Great." So then I went a little bit further into my list. Told him about my consultation fee. If he didn't like my ideas, or if they had to think about it, and So I'm following my process, following the steps, and said, great, I will call you back. So we don't have to accomplish everything and show up for it to be a win. So, it's for him and his wife to get on the same page. And he's going to call me back. That's a win. I'm not driving out there to, have a conversation with somebody, and then they got to send me packing with no signed contract, which also happened today. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it because I know exactly what would have happened a year and a half ago. I would probably be home about now after driving out to meet with this guy, and probably, not charging him anything.
Yeah.
So that's following this process has helped me with that.
So you're talking about what's important to the potential customer. You're talking about money, and a couple other things, that you alluded to that we don't have to go into now, but you're talking about this all up front on the telephone. And I know what I would have been thinking, for, years ago. I always used to think as a painting contractor, I can't talk money. I can't sell a job. I can't give price unless I go out there and look at it. What do you tell the contractors that are looking at this now, calling BS on what you're saying about doing it over the phone?
You won't know until you try. You got to get uncomfortable. You just won't know until you try. You keep doing the things the same way you've been doing, and you'll get the same results.
Yeah.
You want to learn a new process and get different results. You got to try. It was hard. It's hard to undo all the years of bad habits, and even if they're good habits, even if you're a hell of a salesman and you've got all these great habits, we can always learn a better way, right? So one thing that I say to a lot of people, not just about CSA, but any kind of help group or help team that's going to push you forward, you got to do the homework. You got to get uncomfortable, say the weird things that you just never used to come out of your mouth, and then let the results speak for themselves. But you got to be confident about it. Practice.
And that comes from the practice. I mean, that's huge. And we did some data crunching last year, and what we found is the average contractor like you and I, schlepping around, doing bids and stuff like that, usually spends about 4 hours of their life in the estimate process. So you figure you got an hour to drive there or half an hour each way. You tap dance in front of them for a half an hour to an hour, and then you shoot the shit with them and have a cup of coffee and play with their dog and bond and rapport and all these things that are super important that are good. And then you get around to walking around, you take your measurements, and then what do all the contractors do? They all go, well, I'm going to have to take this and go work it up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then we disappear, and we work up this mysterious bid where we're typing it up at night and all this other stuff. And then we send it to them, and then they want a revision. So then we got to go back in and retype version 2 of the thing, and then they're hiding for a few days. Well, anyway, my whole point is that this process on average, and I know it's different in other industries and, they're not all the same, is about 4 hours of a contractor's life. And, what we found is those guys like you that are following a process that's, being bold and honest and open up front, the average savings of time was about 60% of your normal estimating time. How do you feel yours is with that average that we've worked out?
Oh, I totally agree with that. I just sold a job yesterday, little job, just a little conversion. I told the lady over the phone, she sent me a picture, told her over the phone, it's going to be, at the minimum $1,200. And if you really want me to make this thing shine, I can, we can do $2,500. And then after that, we're talking, maybe 10 grand to erase and make it new. And she said, oh, well, I don't know if I have, that 2,500, but that 1,200 sounds about right. So, okay, go through everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ringing. Sorry, I'm in the office. So we go through the process, and I set the expectation. Listen, I'd love to come out.
Wait a minute. Wait. You still have an answering machine? Who the heck has an answering machine, man?
Hey, listen, I just learned about Vlad tonight. I've only been on Twitter once in my life.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know if you can tell.
Did you call in on a rotary phone today? One of those.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. My pigeons soon. Sent out all my bids on pigeons.
There you go. That's awesome.
So, anyways, I set the expectation that I'm coming out to get you scheduled. Is that what you're hoping to do? Get the work moving forward? She said, yeah, absolutely. I said, okay. So we're in that window between 1,200 to 2,500, depending on what you want to add on. She said, yeah, absolutely. And then follow up with the other process. I have a consultation fee, blah blah blah, and I show up, and $1,700 later. I mean, it's going to take us like 3 hours worth of work and get out of there. And so it's been really helpful following that process. And I walked out with a deposit check versus a consultation or empty hands.
What has this pre-qualification done to your average job size?
It has increased. I guess I've gotten a lot of smaller jobs that have made me faster money, faster turnaround, which I would have probably turned my nose up, honestly, in the past, and that wouldn't have been a good idea. Like one that I also went on yesterday morning was a type of feature that I don't typically like to do, and but I was thinking in my head, who am I to tell them, how to make this happen, or how it should look? I'll just give them what they want, but I'll do it the right way.
Sure.
And so by following a lot of the strategies that I've learned through CSA and listening to smart business people, we've done really good at increasing our sales, and more importantly, in increasing our profits.
Yeah, well, that's huge, man. So what would you say some of the biggest head trash issues you had to get over when you saw? I mean, I remember a year ago when we started talking about this stuff, I know that you were like, yeah, I see this. It makes sense. I'd love to be able to do this. And then you had a period of like crap in your head, and now you're like 20 laps ahead on the track right now. And what were some of the biggest head trash things that you had to get over in order to implement a solid pre-qual system like this?
I had to get over myself as far as what I thought my customers wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to think about this. They really don't want to hear too much about me. They want to talk about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I like to talk about me,
right?
But because I can relate to a lot of people as far as their experiences with what I do and what they're looking for. But learning how to shut my mouth and listen and address their issues has paid off enormously. And so the things that I've had to get over, the head trash that I've had was, the time. Oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to practice. Well, if I don't make the time, then I'm not going to change. I'm not going to get any better, and our company is going to stay stagnant or fail.
Okay.
And so I've recently been looking back at it as I had that drive when I first started our company to work 7 days a week and come home, change shirts, load up another truck with my tools and head out. So I was like, well, why the hell can't I just get on the phone and practice, do some role plays, say some weird things that might make me feel uncomfortable, and why can't I do that? So getting past that head trash of no, I'd rather just do the grunt work. I can only do grunt work for so long.
So I get we got dozens of guys doing the sales academy with you and things like that, and I hear stories all the time, and I get a lot of feedback from people. I'm always asking how things are going out there, and I'm curious. Before I share the word I hear on the streets, I don't want to influence you in any way here. What's the reaction you get from the people that call you for bids when you basically tell them, no, I'm not going to run out there and just tap dance give you a bid? What's been the ups and downs of that? How's that going?
Well, I mean, yeah. Okay, so the downs are like people are just act like I'm an idiot. Oh, well, I guess you're not going to be in business much longer. Oh, you want me to pay to have you come out here? You know how many people do that for free?
Mm-hmm.
And well, yeah, I'm not for everybody, but I'd love to, be a part of your project. But I understand if you have your reservations. On the plus side, man, I've had a lot more positive feedback because, like the guy today, he was like, "Oh my God, you're telling me everything I want to hear," and that was cool. That it rang out in my mind. It's something that I'll kind of think about and reflect on, like, what did I say, or more importantly, what did I not say to get that reaction from me? So that was something that was good for me. And all I did was I had a real honest conversation with him, and I didn't blow smoke up his rear. I didn't do the tap dance.
Right. Because the feedback I get is people appreciate it. This is where I'm going to ask those that are listening to us right now to put yourselves in the shoes of the homeowner who is calling around 3, 4, 5 different companies. And what do they have to do? They got to get a hold of somebody. They have to schedule a time for them to come out. They got to rearrange their schedule in a lot of cases to meet with you. Then they wait to get a bid, and they do all this other stuff. So the feedback I hear from a lot of contractors and in my own process is, man, this is great. Thanks for not wasting my time, even when it doesn't work out. Customers like this as much as you do, and so I want to encourage everyone to think of a really good sales pre-qualification process like this as a way that you're just protecting everyone's time, protecting the consumer, you're protecting yourself, you're being fair to your family and their family, and in turn, we know that we're not a good fit for everybody, and that's okay. And I don't want you to have to, I don't want to chase you around, and I don't want you to have to wait for me to show up and all this other stuff if we're not going to be a good fit. Let's have a 10-minute phone call, 15-minute phone call, and if it ain't going to work out, that's cool. So the knack weighed in here, my buddy Neil. So if you're doing, I'll let you answer this. So if you're doing this on the phone, what's the goal for the call? To sell one on the phone call? To sell on one phone call. Yeah, sorry. What's your goal?
Yeah, so my goal is basically to find out if they are meant to be my customer.
Mm-hmm.
That's my goal. I don't have the goal on that one phone call to make the sale, because I might, on my list, I might only get to number one. They're belting out all their pain,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just letting me know what they what they hate about their water feature or their flooring or their wall or whatever. I want to know what's driving them up the wall, and then we might get to budget, and I'll bring up, okay, what what did you have in mind spending on this?
Yeah.
Have you thought, is this a $500 project or a $5,000 project?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I haven't thought about that, and some people get hung up on that.
Yeah.
Like they just don't. Now you've thrown money into the equation, and that's really what we got to get down to. And if there's a good relationship there, then a lot of times they'll go with you. But the big thing is that money, and I want to have that conversation on the phone before I get in the truck and drive across town.
Yeah.
Because if they're thinking about spending $500, well, that's not a customer for me. I don't work for hundreds of dollars. I work for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And
Say that again. Say that again. That's good.
I don't work for hundreds of dollars. I work for thousands of dollars.
All right. Give Ralph some love on that one. Props to Ralph. Come on. Dig it up. That's right. That's the mentality right there. We're not in the hundreds business. You're not going to change your life and send your kids to college and retire and be in business long enough, okay, to, stand behind the work you do if you're only making hundreds. So I really wanted that to hear. So here's another question. Aaron asks, Ralph, to your knowledge, how many direct competitors do you have in your area that build ponds and water features and stuff?
I would say that there's a lot of landscapers that dabble in the water features. I don't know. I've probably got about 10 in my area. There's only the one true competitor. We're not even competitors. We're basically on the same team as Paul and Barbie holding with the pond gnome. And they're an hour and a half away.
Sure.
But we throw leads each other's way.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I kind of want to start bringing this home a little bit. We're about the time I figured we'd go on this. And dude, I really appreciate you hanging with us tonight and sharing some of your stuff. Actually, we got another question here. So you have a loose script of sorts to follow with every new potential client. This loose script sounds like a key piece to have. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
You have your script. Yeah. And the script is, we have a 5-step script. And listen, we talk about pain and pleasure. We talk about budget. We talk about decision makers. Guys, none of these are new in the sales training world. I've had a lot of sales training through the years. What's unique about this, and Ralph, you touched it on earlier, is that we just follow the process and we practice in our group. We role play. We several times a week, you're role playing situations. I had a guy, Derek Johnson, messaged me today, and you had that issue where he had a guy who didn't pay him. I don't know if you saw that. If you've been in the group, he had a guy, and he texted me and he says, "Hey, I got to call this guy and collect my money. Can we role play it real quick?" Okay, so the whole secret sauce to this loose script working, you guys, isn't necessarily what's on the script. It's the practice. It's putting yourself in the situations. And when we start, our session each time with the Academy, we're lobbing softballs up to each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like batting practice. You just got to get the swing going. And we'll move the script, the process around. The last thing we talk about a consultation fee as a painting contractor, somebody asked how many direct competitors. Oh my God, when I was back in Naperville, Illinois, there were 700 painters on Angie's list in my town. All right. Yeah. And so people would call and they would be like, hey, I want to get an estimate for painting. And I go, great. We got one of two ways to do this. I would go right to my consultation fee. Hey, we can charge you $150 to come out and give you a proposal with a scope of work that you can shop around and use to get everyone on the same page. or we could talk for 15, 20 minutes on the phone and I'll tell you within a couple $100 what this thing's going to cost. What would you like to do? Okay, so so the key isn't following, for those of you listening, it's not doing everything in a specific order. It's just knowing that these are the things that we want to know, before we choose to schlep ourselves out there and waste time and gas and all this other stuff. So I know I rambled for like a minute and a half there. So you got any thoughts on any of that?
No, yeah, I do. Following the process, having a script is great, but you don't, like you said, Tom, you don't have to go step by step in order.
Right.
If I get one of these out of somebody and it gives them something to think about and they call me back, it might take us a few phone calls to actually convert into a sale. And I'm okay with that because it's not a few visits to their house.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to go to their house one time and pick up a deposit check. And the next time I show up, we're doing work.
You may not remember this right away, but do you recall the most number of times you've done a phone process with a certain client before you actually went out there? Like how many phone calls it took over how much time?
Yeah. One lady, it was when I was new into, I can't remember if I was working directly with you, Tom, or with Motorhard or CSA, but lady, she called, it was like five phone calls for just a simple fill valve. She couldn't believe that I was going to charge her $150 plus a service call to go. It was like 3 miles from my house to go do 5 minutes worth of work. And I said, well, you could have somebody else do it. I'm okay with that. Let me know if you have any questions. Yeah. And then she'd call me back and she yelled at me. She goes, I can't believe you're charging $150. This thing, I found it on Amazon. It's like $7. And I go, well, what's going to happen when that thing goes bad? Is Amazon going to come and replace it for you? Right. So, but yeah, so like, it's crazy. The last phone call was, when can you come over and do it? And
I love it. I love it.
Went over and did it, and now she wanted to know how much it's going to cost to make her water feature bigger, and she said she's thinking about it and going to save up for it. Because when I'm there, the worst thing to do is get me there for something new, because I'm going to plant seeds. When I'm there, I got all kinds of seeds in my pockets, and I'm just dumping them out all over your lawn. Right. Because I'm looking around, and I tell people, I say, look, if you want to know what I'm thinking, then ask. But if you don't want to know, then don't ask, because you'll open a can of worms. And I just tell them, I see different things everywhere I look. I've remodeled my own backyard 4 times. Because I get different ideas. So
that's great.
Once you get there, then I can start throwing up a little bit because I've got them hooked. Yeah. But it's on the phone call. I've learned to minimize.
So Neil asked, and we'll wrap it up. We'll start wrapping it up here. Like I said 5 minutes ago. What's the most important question you ask when qualifying? Like, do you have a go-to question, like that you just feel super comfortable with when you're on the phone with somebody and all that?
Yeah. It makes the most sense, and it's helped break the ice. Can we have an honest conversation? That's been the biggest one, because then it can go anywhere. All
right. So can you and I do about 2 minutes of role play? I'll be the customer.
Sure.
All right. And so for those of you watching, don't email me and say, oh, you were too easy on Ralph and all this other stuff. I'm going to be a really easy customer because this is batting practice. Okay. And the more we would do this, the harder it would get each time. So please understand that I know there's a million other directions we can go, but that's my disclaimer. So chill out if you're getting all bent out of shape about it. All right. So what situation? You want to call me back? I called the office and I want to bid on what?
You've got a leaky water feature.
I got a leaky water feature. All right, cool. Hello, this is Tom.
Hey, Tom, this is Ralph with Pondscapes. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How you doing? Thanks for getting back to me.
Hey, you bet. So, Allison gave me the message, and I got your picture here. I'm looking at your water feature. Tell me what's going on.
It just won't hold water. We moved into the house about I don't know, 3, 4 months ago, and it was too cold to turn it on then. We just turned it on a week or two ago, something like that. And every time I turn it on, I go out there and there's no water in it.
Oh, really? So now, what? When you turn it on, what's going on? Is that a nice water feature you got going?
I don't know. I've never had a water feature before. It's a small pond and it's got a waterfall. And when I turn it on, the water runs, and then I seems like a couple days later it's out of water, and I got my garden hose and I'm standing there for an hour filling the thing up. So is that
Nice.
supposed to happen?
No, not the way we build them. So now, if you're getting out there every other day and filling that thing up, what? I mean, I guess your water bill's got to be going up, or have you not been there long enough to notice?
I haven't noticed it yet, but I can't imagine it's, not going to go up.
Yeah. Well, do you like the water feature? Do you want to continue with that?
Um, yeah, I mean, we were looking at houses. It was something that was kind of unique, and kind of always
Okay.
thought it'd be cool to have a water feature, but never had one. But yeah, I kind of like it.
Okay, so it's kind of a bummer that this isn't running. You got a nice new house.
Yeah,
Okay.
I figured I'd call around and see what it would cost to have somebody come out and fix the leak. I guess there's a leak. So, what's it? So can you come out and give me an estimate for that, or?
Well, I can, let me ask you a few more questions because we do this quite a bit, and unfortunately, this is a call I get a lot, so I've got a lot of experience with this.
Mhm.
So now I'm assuming that it's holding water when it's not running, from what it sounds like.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, and then you turn it on to enjoy it, and it's losing water.
right.
Okay, so we'd like to have that running so we could enjoy it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so judging from the photos, I can see some areas of concern. To be honest, Tom, I could get out there and start, picking around at stuff, but it looks like it needs a little bit of a clean out so I can really get a good look at it. So I would have to do, some, a clean out and kind of start fresh. Uh, to pinpoint the problem. So clean out starts at 600 bucks. And then from there, we would look for that leak, and it should be a fairly easy process. How does that sound to you?
So what's a clean out entail? Like, I don't know what that means.
So we get out there, we bring all kinds of pumps and pressure washers and stuff, and we drain it, wash it down, get my guys in there. We kind of make some rock adjustments, make it look a little bit better. And
Hmm.
then while we're doing that, we'll comb through it and we'll find that leak. Now, I'll be honest with you. If this is like some of them, it can be a little bit more of a task to fix this. But when we get into that, I'll let you know right away what I find out. But
Yeah.
uh, I wouldn't know until we got into it.
So you'd come out and clean the pond for 600 bucks or whatever and still not know if we're going to fix the leak, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, we might be able to fix it. What we could guarantee, if you wanted to do this, I can guarantee a fix and pull
Hmm.
that old liner out, put in a new liner, and for 1,800 bucks, you have a brand new liner. But how does it? Do we want to stop there if we're that far into it, or are you open to hearing something different?
Well, it's a ton more money than I thought it was going to be. I mean, even the 600. I mean, I talked to a landscaper and he he was going to come out, and he said he'd come out and fix the thing for, $400 or $500, and, you know, dropped a bid off in the mailbox. I wasn't home, but he did that, and I got a couple other phone calls out there. So I'll probably, I don't know, man. It seems like a lot of money just to have a pond cleaned, and I don't know. I'll probably have to get some other bids.
Okay. Well, why don't you do this, Tom? I would get a few more bids, and if you didn't mind, if I could, just follow up with you. If you don't mind, I'll follow up with you and find out, if you got a bid you liked, or if you get to the end of those bids and you got some questions. I'll be honest with you and tell you, hey man, that first guy, the landscaper, he's cheap. Maybe he'll be able to fix you up.
Yeah.
And let you know if that's the right way to go.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll figure something out here.
Okay.
All right. See you later.
Good luck.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Ralph. So this is, we're just going to be real here, me and you. We're by ourselves. How do you think you did?
I think I talked too much. Wasn't real direct.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I could have shortened things up quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing was, remember, we want to talk 30%, let the other guy talk 70, with open-ended questions. And first of all, I mean, dude, it's natural. You know this. How many times have we done this when you are live on a call? Like when we role play every week on the academy, and you're on these webinars, and you got things popping up in the comment box, and you should say this and you should do this, and all these things distract. It takes a big set of stones to get on a live thing and role play, no matter how long you've been doing this. So kudos to that. So my biggest thing is the whole, get me talking more, and things like that. And then maybe bracket a little bit on the money. Like, I know you have people send you pictures, and you're looking at it and you go, hey, Tom, I got one or two options based on what you're telling me. I could blow this whole pond out of the water, replace the liner, do this, that, and the other thing for, I don't know what your price was, but $4,000 to $6,000, or I could just come out, clean the pond, drain it, do whatever for, $800 to $1,200, or whatever your fix is. You know what I'm saying? So bracket high and low, and let me choose how much money, I want to spend. So, but dude, that was good, man. I appreciate you doing that, and give Ralph some props, because it's, I mean, we're on Blab, everybody, anyone around the world that can, see this.
Don't say that.
That's right. So, dude, I appreciate you hanging out. Everybody, go to Ralph's website, pondscapesaz.com.
Yep, pondscapesaz.com, or Facebook at pondscapesaz.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. So I want to also let everybody know, I'm pulling it up here because I have a great memory. I just can't remember a lot of things, if that made any sense. We're going to do another blab this Friday the 5th, yes, at 4 o'clock Mountain Time. I'm in Colorado, so that would be 6 o'clock Eastern. And we're going to talk about how contractors can sell more by asking the right questions. How we can get pain and pleasure and all those things, and learn how to get them talking more and all that other good stuff. So, I invite you guys watching this to, tune back in on Friday, or catch the recording when we send that out. You can also go to motorhard.com, click Contractor Sales Academy to get more information, or if you want to just get on our list so that you can get the replays of these things and all that other stuff, you're more than welcome to do that. So Let's give Ralph some props before we sign off. I know you took some time, an hour or so away from your family to have this conversation with me, man. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
And I love seeing how far you've come in the last year, man. And I know you had a killer year last year. You made some money, which is nice, and all that good stuff. So
thanks to you and Steve and the rest of the team at in CSA. And I'm looking forward to 16. Signed up for every session, and just excited to get back into practice. I don't like slipping back, and that
yeah.
I find that I get out of the practice and I'm slowly going back to bad habits, but recognize it and get out of it.
Well, I appreciate that, and we love having you. You're a huge value to have in the group, and you've mentored a lot of people, and so let's keep it up and motor hard. So, hoorah, brother! All right, man. So everybody, we'll see you guys next time, Friday, February 5th, 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Tom.